Right now at noon, Missouri's governor signs a new utilities bill into law. Not everyone says the impacts will be positive.
And we've got a pretty decent day. It's a little cooler for us, and then it'll be even cooler tomorrow. Look at that forecast coming up.
Plus, election results in Goodman have voters wondering what happens when one candidate wins two offices.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Missouri's governor signs a law that supporters say will strengthen the state's energy infrastructure and opponents say could increase your bills. This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Elise Snowy. The bill signed by Governor Mike Kehoe covers a wide range of electric utility issues. Now, one aspect of the law will allow utility companies to charge customers for the construction of new electric generating plants, potentially raising electric rates across the state. The Consumer Council for Missouri had estimated that electric customers could face an additional $1,100 in annual charges under the legislation. However, the governor says the law is a major step forward in strengthening Missouri's energy infrastructure and supporting long-term economic development. Well, it's a race that may have some Goodman, Missouri voters confused. J.R. Fisher and Clay Sexton ran against each other for two different positions, mayor and South Ward alderman. Now, Sexton won both races. Now, we spoke to the Missouri Secretary of State's office, who says if the same candidate wins both positions, typically the position that candidate didn't want would be left open as a vacancy. Now, they say an appointment to that position could be made and it didn't have to be the runner-up. Now, Sexton says he's taking the office of mayor.
I do have the choice of which seat that I want, but I want this seat after consulting with my wife and my family and what we think will be best for the town moving forward.
Well, the McDonald County Clerk's Office will provide the city of Goodman with the results in a letter after their verification board verifies and certifies them on Monday. Now, once received, it's at the discretion of the city of Goodman to determine how to proceed. Now let's head over to Chris Warner for a look at the forecast.
Yeah, we're doing all right today. Have those gusty winds on occasion out there. Skies are still mostly clear from our camera here at 4th and Broadway in Pittsburgh. And it's looking back southeast. Skies are clear there, but our camera at 7th and Rangeline looking back to the northwest, you can see a few clouds on the horizon. Otherwise, it's not too bad. You can see the MoDOT camera here, 20th and Rangeline, shaking a little bit. Some of that's just because it's amplified effect from it being zoomed in, but it is also a sign of some of those gusty winds across the area. We started yesterday at 51, so 6 degrees above normal, made it to 77. So it kind of exceeded expectations on how warm it got. However, it is not going to get as warm today. We're at 70 in Joplin and in Pittsburgh, not doing too bad. We still have some upper 60s in our northeastern counties, and then down to the south and west, of course, a little warmer. We're getting to the mid 70s out there, and even a couple of upper 70s. We're going to continue to level off with our temperatures in the next hour or so, and then they'll gradually start to drop back down into the upper 50s by 11 o'clock tonight. And gusty winds will continue. We have a cooler day ahead of us tomorrow, which means a cold night ahead of us. We'll talk about how long this cold weather lasts and how our weekend is shaping up here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, authorities in Kansas say they have identified the victim in a 52-year-old cold case. Now, the victim, who has been identified as Jimmy Allen Dollison of Kansas City, Kansas, was discovered 3 miles southeast of Garnett, Kansas in April of 1973. Now, authorities say Dollison was around 20 years old at the time of his death, which the coroner has ruled a homicide. Now, Dollison has been identified and his siblings discovered thanks to the results of DNA testing and a national database of missing and unidentified persons. Now, the KBI and the Anderson County Sheriff's Office continue to investigate the circumstances of Dollison's death and have reached out to the public for help. Well, a new BBB study shows identity theft is evolving with the rise of AI tools and dark web activity. Now, since 2021, more than 16,000 reports have been filed through the BBB scam tracker, with monetary losses on the rise. Now, the regional head of the Bureau says scammers are using stolen personal information to create fake identities and carry out more fraud.
One of, they think, the most important things to come out of this new study is the importance of good cyber hygiene. you have to be proactive in taking care of your data. For example, you want a long and strong password, but it's not enough. You need to turn on multi-factor authentication anywhere you can. It's not enough, although you should be monitoring your credit reports.
The BBB warns consumers to monitor accounts, use strong passwords, and protect sensitive data. Well, Pitt State and Franklin Technology Center have announced a new partnership to support future technology professionals. Now, starting next year, 10 Franklin Tech students each year will receive full tuition and fees to attend PSU's Crossland College of Technology. Now, the scholarships are renewable for 2 or 4 years, depending on the student's program. The partnership also includes ongoing support, events, and promotional resources to encourage student success.
Began to be talked about last August, and just a tremendous opportunity for some young people that maybe college and a technology degree would have never been possible. So the opportunities are amazing, and we're excited about this.
Now, school leaders say this collaboration is designed to build a stronger, more affordable pathway into tech careers. Well, it was a significant achievement to be accepted into the prestigious Massachusetts Institute of Technology, a dream for many and now a reality for one Pittsburgh high school student. Dominic Bach has been awarded a full academic scholarship to MIT. Family, teachers, and friends gathered to celebrate his ceremonial signing to congratulate him. All those who know Dominic are well aware of his capabilities. They tell us they remain consistently amazed by his relentless ambition and dedication to shaping his future.
He's a teacher's dream because he keeps you hopping. You know, he always comes up with a new idea or maybe a new path.
I apply a Dominic mindset or a Dominic mentality to everything that I do, and that means that it doesn't matter what it is or it doesn't matter why you're doing it. You should apply maximum effort.
And by the way, Dominic is the son of KOAM's own Tanya Bach. Now that means a lot of us here at the station have known Dominic his entire life, and we know Tanya is proud, and we all are as well. Well, the United States could be close to reaching agreements with some trading partners on tariffs, the latest coming up. And later, we're making perfect pineapple casserole in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Well, stocks opened lower this morning despite President Trump's announcement yesterday of a pause on his reciprocal tariffs, except for China. Now, yesterday, the market surged on the news as trade tensions between the U.S. and Beijing reached new levels. China today signaled the door to talk is open. Natalie Brand has the latest from the White House.
With a 90-day pause on reciprocal tariffs in effect, the Trump administration says it's already reviewing new trade offers from around 15 countries.
We're setting up with the Chief of Staff's office a very orderly process to prioritize countries and to make sure that the countries that are most important for getting this to the finish line are the countries that we bring in first.
China is not part of the pause, and the administration is ratcheting up pressure for Beijing to negotiate, pushing tariffs on Chinese goods up to 125%. In a statement today, China's Commerce Ministry said the door to talks is open, but dialogue must be conducted on an equal basis with mutual respect.
I think President Xi is a very smart guy, and I think we'll end up making a very good deal for both.
The high tariff means a $100 product from China could now cost $225. Kinderhouse Toys in Northern Virginia is starting to consider the impact. Everett Pyatt opened the shop with his wife more than 40 years ago. He says about 80% of his toys are from China, and this could change how he stocks up the store.
Usually what happens is that the average sale goes down a little bit. People start looking for less expensive items, and so we tend to stock up more on middle range items because that's where the clientele is interested.
Pyatt is closely watching what happens next and hopeful a deal can be reached soon. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
The European Commission president said Thursday the EU will pause its plan to impose retaliatory tariffs on U.S. imports, matching the president's 90-day pause. The tariffs are also affecting those in the 4 states. Now, we spoke to people who are keeping an eye on what's happening with prices and more because of the tariffs. Now, they think it's going to be a waiting game to see the full impacts.
I believe we ought to do something radical right now, and if that means tariffs and I'm inconvenienced for a minute, then I am. I've lived through harder times than where we are right now, and so I believe that we just have to wait out the short term to see what will happen in the long run.
I think his goal is to try to reshore manufacturing jobs, but I think he's misguided in thinking that Americans are good at producing everything and we're not.
Although neither person we talked with totally opposes tariffs, they have differing opinions on how the tariffs could impact others. And still to come on KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
This year, make sure you leave room at your holiday table for a Southern classic that's downright welcoming.
And we're going to be cool and chilly, and then we'll be back to warm weather again. We'll break it all down for you when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM News at noon. So again, we're warming up out there, but we won't be as warm as we managed to get yesterday. We made the upper 70s yesterday. Not all of us are going to reach that point today. Taking a look outside downtown Pittsburgh. Again, the skies looking off to the south are pretty clear. And actually, even looking at our camera at 7th and Rangeline, I only see one little cloud. But that, of course, is what we call mostly clear skies. Heading through the rest of the afternoon, we'll continue to see skies clearing out. We'll still be dealing with those gusty northwest winds pushing about 30 miles an hour at times. But see what I was talking about, when I put this into motion, some of these temperatures didn't move a lot. We're reaching that point of leveling out. Yesterday, we made it so warm because we continued to warm as we're getting a little further into spring, getting closer gradually to summer. We start reaching our highs later in the day. That's what happened yesterday. We kept warming. But that is not going to be the case today. We're going to stop warming here in the next hour or so, and wherever you're at is going to be where you're at. That also means, though, it's going to be a little cooler tonight. We're going to fall back, more of us into the low 40s. We had some upper 40s, low 50s, a good mix this morning. We're looking at more low to mid 40s overnight tonight. Northwest winds still gusting. Then by Friday, they start to shift out of the north. And we're still looking at mostly sunny skies out there. But the north winds continue to filter in cooler air from the north, so that's actually going to keep our temperatures down through the day on Friday to the point we're expecting most of us to be about 10 degrees cooler tomorrow than what we're going to be today. But as we said leading into this commercial break just a moment ago, there's a little bit of a roller coaster ride, a flip-flop. There's so many worn-out phrases we use all the time, however you wish to describe it. So yesterday, we were in the upper 70s. Today, we're in about the low to mid 70s on average. Okay, we have a huge area here. Tomorrow, we're going to drop 10 more degrees. Then Saturday, we're going to go back up 10 more degrees because overnight, Friday into Saturday, it's going to be chilly. In fact, that's going to be one of our cooler nights, not down to freezing. We're looking, again, more low 40s out there, but some of us could briefly dip into the upper 30s. And then the winds will begin to shift out of the south, and it's that time of the year. Anything coming up out of the south is typically a little warmer, so it'll take a second, but we'll start to warm up again to where we are now. But because it'll be a more traditional kind of day where we reach our highs a little later in the day, it won't be like now. Our temperatures jumped almost 20 degrees in about 4 hours today. And that's why they're going to level off. Saturday, it's going to be a gradual warm-up as we would expect any other kind of day where we'll reach that peak heating by the afternoon and eventually get back into the low 70s for most of us, ahead of an even bigger warm-up heading into Sunday. So for the rest of the day, again, most of us, low mid 70s. Some of our southern and western areas might get a little warmer than that, with those northwest winds gusting to 30. Clear skies overnight tonight, a bit on the chilly side, back down to the low 40s. Northwest winds still gusting to 20, so it'll make it feel a little cooler out there. Tomorrow, though, it's that bigger drop, about a 10-degree drop as we go into the low to mid 60s. Sunny, but breezy. North winds gusting to 20. As I mentioned, we go into Sunday. Yeah, we're back up low 80s. Still breezy, though. The winds will really ramp back up on Sunday. After that, though, temperatures will level out a bit for most of next week. Get a little closer to average for us as we go 60s, 70s. And we are watching those thunderstorm chances next Wednesday and Thursday. As I mentioned this morning, we have these storm chances. Now, last week, the severe weather threat was showing up several days in advance of last week's event. We do not have anything like that showing up this far out for that. But we are in storm season, so of course we want to keep an eye on any thunderstorm chances, and we'll monitor these as we get closer.
Absolutely. All right, Chris, thanks. Well, stick around. We're making perfect pineapple casserole in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. We'll be right back. Well, here's an easy and comforting casserole recipe that's a little unexpected and a whole lot pleasing. Howard's making perfect pineapple casserole in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
As you start to plan your menu for Easter, you're probably noticing that this year's menu is sounding pretty much the same as last year and the one before. Now, I'm big on keeping traditions going. After all, what's Easter without Aunt Mary's potatoes? But this year, we thought it'd be a good idea to sneak in a new dish right into the mix. It's a Southern classic that's very welcome. We start off by adding some pineapple gelatin mix to a saucepan. And when I say mix, I mean the dry powder right out of the box. Now, to that, we add some sugar, cornstarch, and a bit of water, and we'll let that cook until it thickens up. Once it does, we add in some pineapple tidbits that we've drained, along with a good amount of shredded cheddar cheese. After giving this a quick stir, we pour it into a casserole dish and finish it off with a buttery crumb topping before popping it into the oven. You see, as it bakes, the pineapple cheese mixture gets bubbly delicious, and our cracker topping gets all crispy. And when you serve this with your Easter ham or any of your holiday classics, don't be surprised when everyone asks for seconds. So right after the news, why don't you go online and get the recipe for our perfect pineapple casserole so you can add it to this year's holiday lineup. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a comforting way for you to say, "Ooh, it's so good."
Well, as always, you can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. All you have to do is head on over to our website. Of course, that's KOAMnewsnow.com. Now here's a look at the 4-state market prices.
All right, so we got, again, a pretty decent day for us today, into the low to mid 70s. Cooler tomorrow, low 60s, but it's a brief cool down. 70s Saturday, maybe even low 80s on Sunday. More nominal temperatures next week, and we are, of course, watching for some thunderstorm chances next Wednesday and Thursday.
All right, keep an eye on that, but until then, we can enjoy the nice weather.
It's not going to be bad. A bit breezy, but not bad.
Sounds good.
Chris, thanks. And Dad, what do you have for us later on?
Lots coming up at 5. For starters, scientists are exploring electrical therapy as a promising new tool to enhance treatment plans for Alzheimer's patients. Plus, a recall petition has been launched against a Joplin City Council member over online comments made about the LGBTQ community. And as the weather warms up, more people are heading to local parks. We have some safety tips and reminders to keep in mind before you head out into nature. Hope you join us for those stories, a lot more. KOAM News at 5.
All right, thanks, Dal. Well, that's the news for now. Thank you for joining us on KOAM News at noon. Have a great rest of your day.